You study every field of human endeavor. You study every problem-solving process in every profession without an exception. And you'll always find to understand precedes action. To understand precedes judgment. Lawyers go through a discovery process, often even prepare the case for the opposing counsel. Doctors diagnose before they prescribe. Teachers pre-assess before they teach. What does the amateur salesperson do? Sells products. What does the professional salesperson do? Sells solutions. It's habit 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. The tendency in almost all people initially is to want to be understood, or if they do seek to understand, they seek with the intent to reply, with the intent to in some way influence, to some way bring the person about, to accomplish their own end, not with the intent to understand. Now, what's your first name?
Hal.
Hal? Why does Hal wear those glasses?
See better.
Okay, but what did the optometrist do before he prescribed? He diagnosed. The optometrist tried to understand. The optometrist was first influenced before attempting to influence. And that helped in the diagnosis and the prescription. And that is why Hal wears these glasses. Can I borrow your glasses for a second?
You'll love these. These will really change your paradigm.
These are more powerful? My friend, you've liked these, haven't you?
A long time.
For a long time. We're sure they'll help you.
Whoa.
Whoa! My friend. What's your first name?
Anna.
Anna? Try harder. I mean, really give those lenses the college try. That help you now?
No.
No. Think positively. I mean, there's nothing wrong, Anna, with this program that a good positive attitude can't correct.
Dizzy.
Getting dizzy? This is the company way, Anna. How current your resume? You like them now?
No.
They look good on you, Anna. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yeah.
Great.
See, we all feel they look good on you. Anna. Daughter, your mother and I, for many years, have distilled the wisdom of our life for your benefit. That's intergenerational wisdom, too, Anna. We've learned it from before. And we put them in the form of those lenses. We've done our best. Anna, you like them now?
They're great, but I still can't see.
They're great, but I can't see. That's kind of a double message, Anna. I mean, do you have any idea the kinds of sacrifices that your mother and I have made for you? The things we have done for your benefit? Huh? In fact, you know what your mother even did to bring you into the world? And the efforts we're making to give to you every opportunity? I mean, what more do we have to say to you? Anna? Like them now?
No.
She's got some integrity. Usually people capitulate. But usually I don't give them that strong of a lens. When they capitulate, I then move to the next person. How do you like them?
I like them. You have to learn the rest of the day.
That's right. For all those who are quick studies, they are rewarded. You can wear them the rest of the afternoon. Are those tears of gratitude? There you are, my friend. You can see again. I could feel your anxiety level. Now, when I'm convinced I'm right, when you're convinced you're right, do we really want other people's opinions? How many of us, when we are in that mental state, use those methods? You may not use the more extreme ones. You may just simply use the more common ones. Try harder. Just think positively. It'll make the difference.
What's so scary is if you don't use those methods and you let somebody talk, seek first to understand, you might have your mind changed. And a lot of us don't want our mind changed. We want to stay on that same path that we feel comfortable with.
Very interesting what he just said. If we really start listening, you may be influenced, particularly if our security lies in being right. If you really seek to understand, you run the risk. You're vulnerable. Can you begin to get a better understanding as to why we have the private victory of 1, 2, and 3? Why?
So you can have self-confidence.
Okay, the confidence, your security, comes from integrity to principles, not from being right. So you could be the first person to say, I was wrong. You learn real fast. But almost everyone is anxious to prescribe glasses for eyes they have not diagnosed, because if they really engage in a meaningful dialogue with me, they become vulnerable themselves. It exposes sometimes their own center, their own need to be right, their own need to give wise counsel, to shape up this son, this daughter, this employee, even this customer. You don't know what you need. We know what you need. We'll tell you. Let me describe 5 levels of listening itself. You might say it's a continuum of listening. The lowest level is to not listen at all. We could almost use the word you ignore somebody. You're not even there hardly at all. You're just into your own world or whatever. The second level is you pretend to listen. You may learn the body language and give the, even the mimicking responses of the last person's sentence. The third level is to listen selectively. You are really hearing. Oh yeah, that reminds me. Let me share. Oh, I agree with that, yeah. Oh yeah. Well, what you said back there, I know exactly what you mean. I've had the same kind of experience. Well, I don't know about that. I mean, see, you did understand. But your mind is so into your own hot buttons that you're listening always in terms of those buttons and those interests. But you did understand. The fourth level is to listen attentively. You're really giving full attention out of real sincerity. That takes a lot of energy, really, to attend to another. But still, you're into your head. The fifth is to listen empathically, to leave your head, to get into their head and their heart. Not that you are trying to sympathize or agree or disagree. You take no position at all. Remember how we have used the iceberg as a kind of metaphor? Well, it really pertains to the subject of empathy and communication. We talked about the tip being just the technique. You know what the great mass of the iceberg is? The motive. The deeper attitude. Are you really anxious to understand? Now, the magic really comes from the human affirmation process. If we were to suck the air out of this room right now, what would happen to our interest? Now that we have air, does air motivate us? What is it that motivates us? The absence of air. The psychological equivalent of air is to feel understood. It is the deepest hunger of the human heart. But to give someone psychological air, it makes it almost impossible for someone to fight you. It so feeds a person's spirit. It so nourishes and nurtures that they become open, non-defensive. One time, a father said, "I don't understand my boy. He won't listen to me at all." I said, "You don't understand your boy because he won't listen to you." Yeah, that's right. Let me restate again what I heard exactly you saying. You don't understand your boy because he won't listen to you. And that's really frustrating. Yeah, I mean, you don't understand you. Why do you keep repeating it? I thought to understand another, you needed to listen to them. Oh, yeah. I understand my boy. I understand him. I mean, I've been there. I know exactly what he's talking about. He hasn't the foggiest. No one's ever been there. Everyone's life is so singular, so unique. Who's going to listen to that uniqueness? Let's have a role play, okay? I'll try to set the situation up. I am your son. You are my father or my mother, and I'm interacting with you, and I'm rather upset, and now I'll use the alter ego technique, but you have to act as if you cannot hear that. You hear it only as a participant in this process, not in the role. It'll give insight to all of us in our learning role. Okay? I just had it with school, Dad. I just get nothing out of it at all.
Tell me more.
Well, it just seems to have no value. I mean, it isn't practical. It doesn't deal with life. It doesn't deal with real things. It's just so kind of theoretical, Dad.
So what are you telling me? I don't understand, Stephen.
Well, I'm just trying to tell you that, I don't know, I don't know if I should even stay in the school. I mean, I don't know, I don't see much value in it at all.
So you're telling me you're thinking about dropping out?
Why not? I mean, my friend Joe did. He did, and he's got a great job, and he is learning a lot more than I am. I'm telling you that right now. He really is, a lot more.
Well, I'm not sure that's what you really want to do, is it? Let's talk about it for a second.
Boy, I'd like to talk about what I want to talk about. But I don't want to talk about school.
Are you listening to me?
See, you didn't see any of that. Yeah, Mom, I mean, I just, I don't know, it's just so frustrating sometimes. I learn so little and everything.
Well, if you just apply yourself more.
I mean, I've tried to apply myself, and I've really given it, I've been there now for 2 months. I mean, that is a real good effort.
Well, I just don't think you're giving it all your effort. I mean, look at your sister.
Yeah, I know, but she just takes this stuff. I mean, she just loves it, and she doesn't have the same interest that I have, Mom, and I just don't know why there should be any basis there at all.
Well, your dad and I work really hard for you to be in this special school. I mean, I've even taken on a job now so that we can put you in the school.
Oh, I know you meant to do all that, and it's not that I'm not grateful for what you and Dad are trying to do. It's just that it's just so difficult, and I mean, I don't see much use in it. I mean, it just, you know, they deal with so much abstraction and, you know, all this theory.
Well, I think you just need to apply yourself better. Maybe if we get you a tutor.
Oh, boy, now I've got to deal with that.
Well, you can't just quit. You'll never get into the college of
Oh,
your
I wish I
choice.
could talk about what I want to talk about. But I guess she wants to persist in this, and I'm feeling kind of so bad after all that they've been trying to do and everything.
Well, I guess I just don't understand. Maybe you can help me understand what it is that you really want. I don't understand.
Well, I sure don't feel understood, but I don't want to get into what I really want her to understand right now. Not after my sister and with all of the things that she and my father have been doing for me on all my life. I'm just trying to say that I just don't know if there's much worth and value to this, Dad. I've given it a good shot, and you know what I mean?
If it isn't school that you want to do, then what do you want to do?
Boy, I wish I could talk about what I want to talk about, but Dad wants me to get into action planning. How about I would do it? Well, I have to confront, you know, all this theory that's being presented every day. And, I mean, take the social studies. They never even deal with what stuff's in the newspaper that I even hear you talk about, Dad. Just gets me into all of this abstract stuff.
In other words, you're saying learning's a tough experience?
Well, it's not that. It's just, I don't know. It's just...
You know, Finn, I'd like to relate something to you. You can check with your grandfather on this, and he'll... When I was 16 years old, and we had come back from Mexico,
Oh, I wish I could talk about what I want to talk about.
you know,
But
I was pretty
I don't know. I have to
son.
listen to Dad's autobiography again. I've heard chapters 3 and 4 so many times in my life, and
At 16 years old,
I even heard about the background chapter that was put in the appendix of his autobiography about his grandfather, and I don't know, but I'll have to be pleasant, and because I can see...
why don't we do this, son? If you really feel there's no point in me trying to browbeat you to stay in school. If you really feel that this is what you want to do, why don't we take 1 semester or 6 months or whatever here, and let's have a trial basis here, and you go out and work.
Oh, I'm just so heartsick now because he's come to the OK Corral for the gunfight, and I wish I could talk really about what I'm feeling inside, but now I'm getting so torn, but I'm partly mad about this thing, and well, maybe we should.
That might be a good idea. I think
Yeah,
you
that
could
might be a good
you
idea.
could probably move in with Joe, and the two of you could really see...
I don't know if Mom would go along with that.
Oh,
She loves me, and she's told me that.
Don't you think I love you, son? Come over here and I'll give you a kiss.
I don't know what to say. I just... Oh, I wish I could talk about, really, what's happening to me inside. I guess I've just kind of had it, Mom. Maybe you've had it at home. Maybe I should do exactly what you're saying.
What is it that you want?
Just notice what happens when you ask questions, when you probe. Notice what happens when you give advice. Remember the stimulus-response concept? See, most of us have been trained all of our life. In order to get understanding, ask questions. But when you ask questions, where do your questions come from? Whose autobiography? Your own. Your own frame of reference. Your own value system. And you could be so well-meaning, but you're still controlling and directing. So be hesitant about questions. In fact, be hesitant about anything that is autobiographical. Now look, you know what autobiography means? Autobiography? What does that mean? Yeah, out of yourself. Now, the best of intentions, and I can feel your warmth, I can feel your caring without any question. It comes right through your face and your eyes. But if you probe, if you advise, if you evaluate, which means to either agree or disagree, or if you interpret, that means to figure me out, or to have some hidden scenario or theory in your own mind that you're kind of working on. If I could bring Stephen around to this, see, maybe the thing that's really bothering him is this, see. All four are autobiographical. With the best of intentions, but still autobiographical. It's one of the main reasons, really, why many parents do not get close to their kids. With the best of intentions, they're doing these autobiographical things. They mean so well. It is so real to them. How's it going, son? Fine. Well, what's happening lately, son? Not much. Well, how'd you go in school today? Fine. Well, son, what did you do after school? We kind of played around, played basketball. Who'd you play with? Tom. Just kind of threw around a little. Did you enjoy it? Yeah? What's wrong with you, kid? I'm trying the best I can to help you, to show my care for you, to do something with you. You give me these short, clipped answers, and you talk endlessly with other people. Don't you know what your mother and I have done? Do you have any idea the things we have done, the price we have paid? Now go ahead, son. Open up. Tell us how you feel. Now, if you have an extremely large emotional bank account with somebody, you know, people can take off with each other, they can use autobiographical, and they can direct and advise. I'm not saying that those autobiographical approaches are not appropriate at all. If someone were to say to me, Stephen, where's the restroom? I wouldn't say, you're really hurting. All I'm saying is, if you're really trying to empathically listen within the other's frame of reference, then autobiographical responses are not useful. Now let me try to put in perspective this continuum of empathy. Empathy is one of many forms of communication, and all forms of communication have their place and their validity. I mean, probably one of the best things to do is to learn how to ask questions of other people, to find out all kinds of information. If you find the information isn't really safe and is really filled with a lot of emotion, and if they also desire to be understood and you have enough credibility in their mind that you would be a person that they might open up with a little, then start empathy rather than autobiography. But if the emotional bank account is there, if the issue is not that jugular, not that emotional, and if they're totally willing to be understood, like a doctor, tell me a little about your history. What kind of medicine are you on? I want the expertise of that person. I want them to probe. There's probably no more efficient way to get at information than asking questions than probing. But if you're dealing with what you might call tender, vulnerable areas where people really would like to go deeper and they need help and they're in pain, probing is efficient but ineffective. It saves time now and takes much more time long run, as you found out in the early part of the role play. And so I'm creating a situation which essentially precludes autobiographical responses altogether, which means you can't come out of you. You have to come out of me and to reflect it accurately and completely. Not to do it as some little listening technique, but to do it deeply and sincerely is another thing altogether. I'll give you a key. Have you ever spoken through a translator? Tell me, what did the translator do the whole time you were giving that speech to that group, that audience, or that person? Where was the frame of mind of the translator?
Really trying to get my feeling or the essence of the message.
Okay, and then to communicate it accurately and completely. Not just the content, but the feeling, right? Catch the role. Catch the role. You're a faithful translator. And then within that role, you'll catch the feeling. Now, watch how relatively easy it will be for him. Here's the mother. You're my translator. In a sense, you're standing right next to me, see? And we're talking to the mother. Yeah, I mean, this school is so important, Mom. It just is, it's just the whole key to a person's future. See, I speak one language, she speaks another, so I've had to work through a translator. You are a faithful translator to me. You just need it, Mom. I mean, it's just so important, Mom.
It feels very strongly about the importance of education in his life.
See how basically simple that was? You hadn't figured me out. You didn't deal with Joe. I wasn't into Joe. You didn't probe. You didn't agree. You didn't disagree. You didn't evaluate. You were with my head. You captured the essence of my feeling, how strong I feel about education. Yeah, Dad, I don't know. Just a lot of problems out there. And boy, they really throw your world sometimes.
I can sense that you're really troubled about your surroundings.
Really? Now look, see, you're getting at it. Whether it's exactly on, the spirit is, you are into me. You're not figuring me out. You're not trying to analyze me. You're not You're not trying to take control. You're not trying to manipulate me towards some worthy end. The key to listening is with the eyes and the heart. Mom, here's your translator. Yeah,
It's hard to talk about.
It's hard. Hard to talk about this. It's a struggle. It's not easy. You almost got to get your own spirit. Not that you are agreeing, but that you're so empathic, not sympathetic. Sympathy is not empathy. And this is why many people think that you can't really do this unless you've had the experience of the other, the opposite. It's because you haven't had the experience, you empathize. If you have, you could sympathize. Sympathy is an altogether different response. It also has its appropriate uses. I'm sorry you lost your father. I'm just so sorry to hear about that. It must be such a hard, I'm not talking about sympathy, empathy. Notice how you're working. The one who listens does the most work, not the one who speaks. Now, Dad, I took this test and, they put me at the 7th grade level. Here I am in the 10th, and I just had no idea. None at all, but I'll tell you this, at least it kind of felt good to know where I'm standing.
He feels relieved, at least he knows.
One word, not long answers. 1, 2, 3 words sometimes. When you're obviously understanding the content, you don't need to restate the content. Get at the feeling. If you're not sure you understand the content, restate it. If you're not sure the other person feels the content has been understood, restate it. In either condition. And when you're dealing with emotional issues is the time to really practice, to really use true empathic communication. Those are the 3 primary times. When you're not sure you understand, when you're not sure the other feels understood, or when the issue is really kind of charged with emotion. Seek to understand. I'm going to role play for a second with this boy. Well, son, what score did you get? Son, at one time in my life, can't you instantly see? Well, son, I wouldn't get too discouraged about that, because the key is that you learn from that, and you can, what about advice? Or what about sympathy? Oh, don't worry about it. That's okay, son. We understand. Or what about agreeing? Well, I agree. I can see why you're so upset and why you're so disturbed. And I think what we should do maybe, or to disagree. Well, I don't know if that was a good test. What kind of a test was that? I've heard about some of these tests, and it discourages young people. And I don't want you to feel discouraged, son, because I think you're further than that. I'd like to check into that. You see, everyone here, once you get into an empathic frame of mind, you know instantly the futility and the counterproductiveness of people who try to be understanding and helpful through autobiographical approaches. That's why you would be doubly careful about anything you do at this stage, because now you are on holy ground. You really are. And I'm so vulnerable to you. Dad, I don't see any way out.
Oh, his
it's just hopeless.
Beautiful. Feeling of hopelessness. Yeah, I mean, do you see any way, Dad?
He's asking for advice.
That's beautiful. See? You didn't say, yes, I do. You stayed as a faithful translator. You didn't say, I have some ideas, son. He basically said, you want my reaction. He's asking for advice. See? He's asking for some help. I mean, where are we now in the eyeglass demonstration? Where are we now? We've completed the diagnosis. And this will become one of the most bonding experiences we can have because of what we've had to go through.
You're asking for my help. You want to know.
Yeah.
You want to know if there's any options out there that...
That's... I don't. You know, right at this stage, see? I see something, son. Really? What? Tutoring? I've checked into tutoring 2 nights every week, all day Saturday.
You think that would be too much?
Beautiful. Look what she did. As soon as I got into my emotion, see? Now we're dealing with an action plan, but I'm back into my emotion. She stays with empathy. You go to empathy when the person has a lot of emotion attached there and has the need to be understood. If the rapport between you is extremely high, you hardly even have to say a thing. Or be just one word or a nod may be sufficient. That was tremendous. Yeah, if I really thought that tutoring course would help, I'd give up everything. I'd give up any night.
If you believed it would work, then you'd make the sacrifices.
Yeah, I would. Do you think it would? You want my reaction to it. I do, Dad. I think it would, son. Let me tell you why. I'm open, see? We're synergistically creating a new thing. We're at a whole different stage now. Let's do a little review of this concept of empathy. And let me describe the 5 phases of learning empathic responses. Mimicking, paraphrasing or rephrasing, okay? You say their words, their meaning in new words. There's the faithful translation on content. The 3rd, reflect feeling. It's hurting. It's pain. Frustrating. Happy. Relieved. See? Just, you're listening with the eyes and the heart. You're listening to body language. Your head is in where that person is. 4th, rephrase content and reflect feeling. It's relieving to at last find out where you are on these tests in reading or whatever, see? And the 5th is to kind of just say nothing. You're just with the person and they can sense it. And you do that when you feel confident that they feel understood and that they know you understand. That's all part of Habit 5. To seek first to understand is to get an education. To seek first to understand is to do surveys with customers. To seek first to understand is to empathically be a faithful translator to another. To seek first to understand is to, never even having related to another person, to know there are certain generic needs in all people. That which is most personal is most general. Therefore, there's a certain civility, a certain courtesy, a certain basic kindness, a certain basic treatment that apply across the board, that basically tap into those universal principles we have spoken about before. And the last half of Habit 5 is just the concept of then to be understood, then judge, then act, then go into problem solving. Now, test this, my friends. Test the power of this. Next time you get into a difficult situation, just say to yourself, the end in mind I have is not my way. Instead, it's a better way that has not yet been discovered. I'm going to just empathize. I would like to have this opportunity. Whether that really logically comes out of it, I don't know. I remember one situation. I had taught habits 4, 5, and 6, and then I said, tonight, practice it in some situation, and tomorrow morning, report back on your experience. The person came in, I cannot believe what happened last night. It was a real estate situation. He said, I've been working on this commercial real estate situation for 8 months. All my eggs were in one basket. I had no income. I was very dependent upon this situation. I was so vulnerable, so desperate. And I'd been doing everything I could to finesse, to make it look like it would be win-win, but one way or another, I was going to win that deal. Last night, we went to a hotel room with the party that we're trying to deal with, and he had his attorney there, his accountant, and there was another real estate person brought in. And he said, my heart sunk. And he could see the handwriting on the wall. It wasn't going to go in his direction. And then he said, I'm going to lose this. Why not try what a teacher taught me today? He said, if I'm going to lose it anyway, why not try it? And he said to the person, you had to really kind of breathe deep and be prepared. I may lose it, but I'm going to try it. Let me see if I understand what it is you really want and what your most fundamental concerns and needs are. I hear you saying, correct me if I'm wrong. And he started to put it forth. The other person said yes, and he just stayed with listening from within the frame of reference of the other. He started to listen fully. He learned some things he had not learned before. He didn't rush in. He had enough discipline and patience to not rush in with his good solutions and based on his past mentored formula of success. He listened. He was open. It started coming forth more and more. He started to learn. He persisted for no more than about 15, 20 minutes. The man said, would you excuse me for a moment? He went to the other side of the room, picked up the phone, called his wife, turned back and said, you've got the deal. This guy was aghast. He said, I had no idea what happened. I tried to explain. Far more important than the technical elements of the deal was the quality of the relationship. That's the power of it.